Okay, so have you ever gone out to eat and had the really big meal and just didn't even think about dessert? Dessert's so good though, but if you're really full, why would you pay for the dessert when you don't have the space for it? Personally, I never think about ordering dessert because if I'm going out to eat, I'm gonna eat until I'm full. So, but it never fails because by the time I'm home, I am ready and craving something sweet to finish me off for the night. So today I'm going to teach you guys how to make a chocolate mousse. It is an easy make-ahead dessert, so it'll already be ready by the time you get home from the restaurant. I'm gonna start combining all the ingredients and teaching you what basic ingredients you will need for this chocolate mousse. And then I will take you step by step through the recipe of making this delicious dessert. And finally, I'm going to show you some variations that you can switch up the mousse so it's not always the same. So first, I don't cook without an apron. Here's a fun fact. This apron I made in the 4th grade as a 4-H project because I wanted to be just like my grandma. I always cook with my grandma, and she never cooks without an apron either. So you want to make sure your hair is pulled back also so it doesn't get in the food, and roll up your sleeves so your sleeves don't drag in the food either. So what you're going to need for this chocolate mousse is some bittersweet chocolate. Some butter, egg yolks and egg whites, some sugar, and some heavy cream. All these ingredients are important for this recipe, but there are a few that take a lead role in this recipe and make the mousse what it is. The eggs, the heavy cream, and the chocolate are the most important in this recipe. The egg whites create the light and fluffy texture that a mousse should have. The chocolate gives the sweet flavor, and the heavy cream will give it a rich flavor at the end of the dessert. Like I said, each of these ingredients is important. You need all of them to make the mousse, but those are the ones that take the lead roles. So we're going to start by melting our chocolate. To some people, that's a scary step because it can go south really fast. I took this recipe from the 5th edition of Professional Baking book by Wayne Gislin, and he gives techniques on melting chocolate. For this specific recipe, he advises to use a double boiler. Now, for those of you who don't know what a double boiler is, it's a 2-part pan where the water goes on the bottom, and on the top part of the pan, the chocolate will go so it is away from the water. When melting chocolate, you want to keep the chocolate moving so that it won't burn and it won't seize up. And the important part of a double boiler is that the water won't touch the chocolate, because if the water gets in the chocolate will immediately seize up and it'll be lumpy and greeny, and you just won't want to use that chocolate at all. So once your chocolate's melted, you're going to add in the butter. You're going to stir the butter in until it's completely melted. It'll give it a nice shiny appearance and give it a little bit of flavor. And after the butter, you're going to add in the egg yolks one at a time. The egg yolks will give it a little bit of a structure and also a little bit of a flavor because the egg yolks hold most of the fat of the egg. The egg yolks will go in one at a time because nobody wants scrambled eggs in their mousse, and the chocolate is still hot. So you'll remove the pan from the heat and then put the eggs in one at a time, and making sure that they're fully mixed in. After the eggs are completely incorporated, you're going to set it aside and let it start cooling, and you're going to grab your egg whites. Now we're going to whip the egg whites, but we want it a meringue-like softness to give it the light and fluffy texture that a mousse should have. So we're going to add in our white sugar to the egg whites. And the sugar we're going to add in gradually so we don't deflate our eggs, because if the egg whites start to deflate, it'll create a really heavy and dense mousse, which just won't taste right. So once the egg whites are whipped, you're going to start folding them into the chocolate mixture. And the importance of folding is if you start to just regularly stir egg whites into any sort of mixture, it'll completely deflate them, and then there won't be any light and fluffy texture that you're wanting. So you're going to fold them in really slowly and gently to keep that mixture. And then after that, we're going to whip up our heavy cream. And just like the egg whites, we want our heavy cream into soft peaks. And I just said the word peaks. We're not talking about mountains, we're talking about food. So in culinary terms, a soft peak is when you take the whip out of the mixture and the cream will hold on to the whip, but there will be a slight curl at the end of the liquid on the whip, just like in the picture. It'll be a slight curve. If it were a stiff peak, it would look like this one on the end, where it comes to the point like a mountain would. So we want them soft peaks so that it'll keep the light and fluffy texture and it won't be too dense of a product. Once you have the cream whipped, you're going to fold it in gently and slowly, just like you did the egg whites. And once there's no white streaks and it's all completely brown and completely mixed, you're going to choose your style of dish that you're going to eat it out of. You're going to pour them into the dishes, and then you'll put it in the fridge for at least 4 hours so that it can fully set and create that whipped texture that a mousse should have. Like I said, it's a make-ahead dessert. You can't make it right before you go to the restaurant. You have to give it enough time to set up so that it's the texture that you want. Here's another fun fact. Last year, I made this exact recipe in Miss Smith's Culinary Foundations class, and my team and I placed 3rd at the Iowa Western Baking Competition for this mousse. Well, not just the mousse. We added lots of different flavors in to enhance the flavor of our mousse. We added in a raspberry coulis, which is strained raspberries, so there's no chunks, it's just the sauce. We added in a mint chocolate ganache, which is melted chocolate with heavy cream combined, so it's really rich. And then we made our own whipped cream, and we topped it off with a mint leaf for presentation. So like my team and I, we gave it, the mousse, a flavor component added to the chocolate flavor. So just like we added the raspberry and mint flavors, you can add any flavor you want. Maybe you want milk chocolate or white chocolate rather than the bittersweet chocolate, and instead of like a fruit coulis, maybe you want a caramel instead. There's endless possibilities for flavors of the chocolate mousse, and according to allrecipes.com, there's even different types of mousse you can make, like a pumpkin mousse, a lemon mousse, or even a strawberry mousse. So today I taught you guys what are the basic ingredients of a mousse, and then I explained step by step how to make the mousse, and then I provided some tasty variations of the dessert, so it doesn't always have to be chocolate. So remember, next time you go out to the restaurant, there's a dessert waiting at home that you won't have to force yourself to eat at the restaurant. Thank you.